The first grade teacher was teaching math, but the student looked down on her.
3 plus 3? Really? Alright, but everyone knows it's 6.
Seeing that this kid is so crazy, the teacher decides to give him a hard time.
What is 9 plus 8?
17.
That's good. What is 15 plus 17?
32.
Both questions were answered, which made the teacher feel bad, so she made it more difficult.
57 plus 135.
192.
The little girl finished her math. The teacher had to think before she knew the answer, but she didn't want to give her a hard time. Facing the little girl's disdainful look, the teacher asked her,
7 multiplied by 135?
The teacher finally silenced the child. The teacher smiled when she saw her nervousness. The teacher smiled, but she just resumed the lesson.
7,695.
7,695.
The square root is 87.7. And change. Now what does ad nauseum mean?
When school was over, the girl was picked up by her father. The teacher rushed out and started looking for the parents. She's got to talk to the man about the girl who's a show-off.
I think your daughter. I think Mary might be gifted.
To the teacher, the man claimed that the child only knew how to do quick math, and that he taught her that trick himself. When they got to the beach, he was telling Mary to keep her head down and look normal. The two of them then went out to sea and spent a pleasant afternoon at the beach. The next day, Mary came back to school. The teacher prepared a test. But 2 minutes after the papers were handed out, the little girl had finished them all. Luckily, the teacher was prepared. She took out another paper and added a special meal for the child. The difficulty level was raised to middle school level. When the other kids didn't finish one paper, Mary finished the second one. This convinced the teacher that there was more to the girl than just quick math. Searching for her name, she found that Mary's mother was also a math prodigy. But she died young, and the man she met yesterday was in fact the girl's uncle. So she went through the principal to bring him in again. The principal wanted the child to transfer to another school. He has a friend who runs a private school for such prodigies, and he could apply for a full scholarship. But no matter what the conditions were, the man didn't agree. He wanted Mary to get a normal education and live a simple, happy life. Then he took the child and left. But as soon as he arrived at his door, an unexpected visitor was waiting. He brought his granddaughter to meet to test her talent. The professor gave him a calculus test that any idiot could do. The girl looks at it for 5 minutes, and she looks puzzled. The old professor didn't say anything, but he had a look of contempt on his face. Then Grandma took Mary away. She said she wasn't mad, but she was still mad. But the girl thought the questioner was stupid.
Why? Why do you say that?
It was wrong.
What?
Well, for starters, you forgot the negative sign on the exponent. It went downhill from there. The problem was unsolvable.
After listening to the child's insights, the grandchildren set off again. The little girl's addition to the question instantly caught the old professor's eye, and then, after some maneuvering, Mary, you knew the problem was incorrect, but you didn't learn it in 4 years of college.
Mary, you knew the problem was incorrect. Why didn't you say anything?
Frank says I'm not supposed to correct older people.
The girl's Frank is actually her uncle and the child's current guardian. He was always against gifted education and wanted Mary to grow up happy. But he was opposed by the girl's grandmother, being from a family of math geniuses. The old man would never allow his child's talent to go to waste. So the two of them fought with their uncle for custody of Mary. But the fight didn't give Frank the advantage. Instead, his low income and poor hygiene made it easier for him to lose custody of Mary. Even his lawyer advised him to settle. The court would take a compromise, picking a nearby foster home and giving both parties visitation rights. Knowing he had no chance of winning the case, Frank gave in. He came to the foster home to find out what was going on and to make sure that Mary would be well cared for. Then he came to say goodbye to the girl. Even though Mary was crying and begging, she didn't want to be here. But with no way out, Frank had no choice but to leave. But she didn't realize she was making a big mistake. The so-called foster home was a setup by the girl's grandmother. When Frank visited again, he was turned away by Mary's foster father. At the age of 7, the girl could mentally multiply 3-digit numbers.
57 multiplied by 135?
7,695.
57 multiplied by 135. Something 1,695. The teacher thought she was unusual, but a quick search revealed that the girl's mother had nearly solved the Navier-Stokes equation, one of the 7 most difficult math problems. Unfortunately, she chose to commit suicide, leaving her daughter in the hands of her brother. In order to honor his sister's wishes, Frank enrolled Mary in a normal school with a normal education, hoping only that the child would grow up happy. But Mary's extraordinary talent made it hard for the teachers not to notice. Out of a sense of responsibility for the girl, the school contacted Mary's grandmother. When she found out about her granddaughter's talent, she insisted on taking her away. She started a lawsuit. In the end, the court mediated the placement of Mary in a foster home. Both parties have visitation rights. On the day of her departure, the girl was in tears. She didn't want to be separated from Frank. But in the face of the court's decision, the man could do nothing but leave his beloved cat as a companion for his child. But that day, he received a text message that his beloved cat had been put up for sale. He immediately went to find out what had happened. Finally, he managed to take the cat away before it was euthanized. At this point, Frank also realized the so-called foster home was a scam. The girl's grandmother was allergic to cats, so she gave her away. Furious, Frank came to take Mary home, but the child resisted and ran away. Frank managed to catch her, but she was beaten up. Mary couldn't forget the abandonment. But in the face of her closest family member, she chose to forgive, but it's not over yet. Frank calls the girl's grandmother, the mother of himself and his sister, one of the 7 problems. The Navier-Stokes equation had long been solved by his sister, but she died without publishing it and passed it on to her brother. The mother refused to believe that any mathematician could refuse such an achievement.
That's where your charade falls apart. If she had completed the proof, she would have published it.
But Frank's words completely stunned him. According to her sister's wishes, the proof would have been published after her mother's death. It was the daughter's cruelest revenge on her mother, the old man's lifelong puzzle. The old man's lifelong puzzle would never be answered while he was alive. But Frank was willing to make a deal with Mary for her future. Frank was willing to make a deal with Mary for her future just so the girl could grow up happy. And with that, she left the room, leaving Mom alone with her thoughts and her daughter's notes. She saw the scribbled calculations. She saw the scribbles on her arithmetic notes, both the tears of pain and the joy at having proved her success. By now, the old man was sobbing uncontrollably. He had never paid attention to his daughter's feelings, nor had he ever had a heartfelt conversation with her. But it was too late. He would never have that chance again. By the end of the story, Mary had entered an institution of higher learning to continue her love of mathematics. After school, she was picked up by Frank and played in the park with children her own age. Perhaps there is no contradiction between the education of a genius and the simple life of an ordinary person. And for every child with the right education, everyone can be a genius. The name of this movie is gifted by Chris Evans, Mckenna Grace, Lindsay Duncan, directed by Marc Webb. And the writer thinks the story is corny, but the performances are very subtle. The little girl and Team America are so loving, especially love the sunset at the beach. The little girl crawling around on Team America is so sweet. Captain America is so right when he says he wants to take less or even no superhero roles because it gets in the way of him getting other roles or putting in the effort to play other roles well. Captain America still has the potential for deeper and more nuanced roles, and has thought so since Midnight Encounter. The thing that stood out to me the most in this movie was when the uncle takes the girl to the hospital when she realizes she's not at all loved by her dad and says that's how happy we were when you were born. What is the best education, in my opinion, is nothing but growing freely, letting the children themselves to recognize the world, to understand life, to pursue their self-interests, and the parents just need to be good at being that watchman. Autocracy is not the best approach to education.